back to No Hair, All Heart, the podcast that I have commercially interrupted as the host to read from my novel, Jonnie Fazoolie and the Transfinite Reality Engine. Welcome to reading number 9. I am reading one section from each episode each and every day. I started on June 30th. It's now July 6th. And here we go with the next section. Jonnie has left the building. Astonished, Penny leans over the side, knocking the cat off her lap. She shoots quick smartphone shots of Johnny's fall, then grabs his telescope, pivots it, and tracks his spiraling descent. Within 5 seconds, Fazoolie is plummeting at over 40 mph as the ram air inlets at the front of his arms and legs scoop airflow into his wingsuit, inflating the once loose nylon into an airfoil shape. After 5 seconds, Jonnie is hauling ass at nearly 100 mph, his suit converting vertical fall speed into horizontal glide at a ratio of about 4 feet forward for every single foot down. Whee! Meow, says BS the cat, not wanting any part of this madness, instead burrowing into a soiled pizza box. He finds a tasty morsel, devours it with gusto. All again is right with the world. Penny watches Jonnie ride the winds in graceful downward arcs as if he were one with the city, sky, and planet. Although a half-blind freak, our hero demonstrates masterful cruise control. Pitch angle, descent rate, and speed are controlled by arching and tucking his arms, legs, and core in micro movements. Turns are banked by rolling shoulders and yaw adjusted by leg separation. The second derivative of Fazoolie's position vector describes his centripetal acceleration in a radial direction over a fixed interval of rotation, taken through the angle of his starting point. So there. In other words, Jonnie is batshit crazy for attempting such a risky stunt around his building and between skyscrapers on every side. Oh, shit, he mumbles into his mic, muted by the winds. Fazoolie loves free fall, weightlessness creating the illusion of constraints being removed from his libertine life, except when the release presents the possibility of an imminent, violent end. Preventing that premature demise is his bright purple Freak 5 wingsuit with its sim-blend profile, mono-chamber wing design, and variable glide ratio for such insane stunts in urban centers. Exceeding Jonnie's recklessness by a hair is his uncanny good luck, against all odds saving his ass from these death-defying acts, week-long drug, sex, and booze binges, and the IRS. The rush of almost dying helps keep Jonnie alive, too, at least long enough to indulge his next ostentatious, dangerous, and pointless stunt. In-between times suck, but he's narrowing them. Jonnie smiles and spirals lower, corkscrewing around the building. Whoosh! His head-mounted GoPro Live streams his POV in HD to Twitch and YouTube, his Fazoolie fans erupting. The web considers him momentarily interesting. Already awash with wingsuit warriors, algorithms stream him to the brink of virality. Followers hoping for calamity, so far disappointed. Residents in the surrounding buildings and gaping pedestrians below catch this risky, low altitude, and no escape base jump. For about 15 seconds, Jonnie Fazoolie owns the internet. He loves social media, but sucks at that too. Inconsistent, impulsive, he overshares and is passive aggressive online, just as he is in real life, boring and infuriating everyone, everywhere. Unable to stop while he's ahead or start after he's behind, his timing is as non existent as his tact. When you least expect him, don't expect him, since he likely won't show up then either. Akin to a blind sharpshooter or paraplegic ballerina, Jonnie somehow has an uncanny knack for successfully and safely pulling off these increasingly reckless and dangerous stunts. That said, his parachute opens on the dot for him to coast and land in front of a Starbucks across the street. Cars almost hit him. Jonnie flashes the finger, outraged at their intransigence. His collapsing rectangular chute sports an enormous image of Johnny's grinning mug, thumbs up from both hands, below which is stenciled in big letters, "For a good time, call 1-888 FAZOOL." Unclipping his gear, Jonnie blows kisses to the blocked traffic and gaping pedestrians, who jeer and throw sharp objects at him. "Don't panic," he shouts, quoting his favorite sci-fi miniseries. He bows and ducks inside the coffee shop, classic Fazoolie style. His name called just then, and picks up his usual, a triple iced espresso. On the cup is scrawled Jonnie, Johnnny, and he grins almost. A crowd gathers. Jonnie eats up the attention. People think he's a Red Bull stunt guy, an extreme sports enthusiast, or some cool combo. The barista thinks he's a fucking asshole for not tipping. High above, Penny shoots more zoomed, blurry pics, then writes hashtag what the actual fuck in her notebook. "Good luck in the land of truth, Jonnie Fazoolie," she says out loud. "You're sure going to need it." "Meow," says the artiste's cat, impervious to his shenanigans, rubbing himself against the reporter's leg. She still hates cats and doesn't like BS either, yet can't help herself, stroking his back. Why a guy like Fazoolie has a pet cat, let alone dotes on it, is yet another Fazoolie mystery. Penny wonders if the cat would have provided a more interesting interview. The feline purrs, agrees. Down on the street, Jonnie is strutting and signing Starbucks coffee cups, confusing everyone. At some point, he loses his own and starts hyperventilating from caffeine withdrawal. "Was that shit real or CGI?" asks a skeptical pedestrian. "Do you do birthday cameos?" asks a stunned onlooker. "Can I have your autograph?" asks a tourist from Cincinnati. "You all right?" asks a not-so-innocent bystander. "Call the president," shouts Jonnie Fazoolie while hailing a cab he doesn't get into, posing for an unpaid selfie with an Elmo costume character, and quoting from The Wolf of Wall Street. Eviction with conviction. She scans this mega $1 million dump and in his absence shoots more pics. Trash strewn across real estate valued at $7,000 per square foot epitomizes her current work and dating life. The high-end hovel looks like a combination of Pee-wee's Playhouse, a high school production of Mammoth's American Buffalo, and a Soho sex shop ransacked by crazed bonobos. Unmatched furniture of uneven quality is distributed at random throughout the place. interspersed with a broken foosball table, a 1:5 scale replica of Michelangelo's David, and piles of junk. Maps of East Timor, Azerbaijan, and Tasmania are stuck on a wall next to Farrah Fawcett's iconic poster and an M.C. Escher print of tessellating angels and demons hung upside down. On an adjacent wall hangs a set of geometric wooden shelves consisting of dozens of interlocking isosceles triangles in varying sizes, their vertex angles alternating top and bottom. Sprawled across the shelf alongside mason jars full of various bugs, including bees, wasps, and big furry spiders that send chills down her spine, is a miniature dinosaur toy collection. Penny smiles and spontaneously tucks a Trudon formosus dino into her clutch bag. The species was only about 6 feet long, a large brain for its size, and equipped with partially opposable thumbs. Evolutionary biologists speculate that had the Chicxulub impactor not made them and their brethren extinct, T. formosus could have become today's apex predator, taking over the world. Homo sapiens instead rules our planetary roost, the consequence of a series of unlikely events whose counterfactuals are just as unlikely, if not more. We owe our dominion to that space rock. Fast forward, about 100 billion chickens are slaughtered each year for human consumption, about the same number of humans who have ever lived. The revolution will be on TikTok. You're welcome, she says to herself, having no clue about such a what-if scenario plan of life on planet Earth, instead reminding herself of her childhood sticky fingers escapades. Born super bougie, little Penny shoplifted to appease her need for naughtiness and thirst for expensive cosmetics. Precocious pranksterism having since powered a super bratty adulthood. Penny remembers getting aroused whenever she took something from a store without paying, her guilt expressed through the agony she later felt after ecstatically playing with herself. She also recalls her triggers for five-finger discounting, which included anger and frustration toward her parents, and especially her mothers and sisters. Breaking rules helped her break even. And now, the interview and most of her afternoon had become a big waste of her time. 0 nominees. Take something from life, her grandfather David advised her. Advice she still follows. Speaking of time, she heads to the front doors, but is impeded by a rusted car fender, an enormous beach ball illustrated with the entire night sky of planets and constellations, and a jukebox. The Wurlitzer 1015 bubbler is a relic in good condition, glass tubes arced along the top, dyed bubbles in dichloromethane flowing upwards, side columns glowing red, orange, and yellow. Cool, thinks Penny. American Graffiti in film and Happy Days on TV before her time. But she appreciates the retro vintage touch, the song list on a rotating panel hinting at what the thing does. She remembers Grease, of course, John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, and visualizes Jonnie likening himself to leather-clad Danny Zuko of the T-Birds, making her... Stop. Mountains of Lego sets, some still in their unopened boxes, others with pieces tossed about the floor, are stacked throughout the place, along with models in various states of construction. She notices branching pathways of pieces that have been trod through the hillocks, knolls, drifts, and piles, making the thought of traversing this plastic wasteland in the dark, or wasted, scary. Hyperfocus is a common, if paradoxical, symptom of ADHD, and Jonnie doesn't have the patience to tie his shoes, but he sits for hours assembling and disassembling models. Wild and weird. Penny imagines what dating such a man-child might be like, shuddering and lubricating at the thought. A part of her wants to set his place on fire. The other straddle the freak on his tatty sofa. Conditioned by her parents, older sisters, suburban peers, teachers, and a rabbi to be a good girl, Penny forbids herself from having too good a time, a chronic sexual schizophrenia. Her inner beast suppressed, she indulges her passions in spontaneous bursts of unabashed, if fleeting, hedonism. The juxtaposition of shame and sluttiness makes her cray-cray. Somewhere deep inside her unconscious mind, buried by trauma and camouflaged by forgetfulness, is that unspeakable violation, exposed by every gasp, shout, and scream of orgasmic release. Perceiving herself in complete control of her own life, even a passive reflection would reveal a journey mapped not by her conscious intent, but the long shadows of childhood terrors. Bizarre situations like this one catapult Penny out of her shell, compel her to wonder if she's wandered into Wonderland, through the looking glass, or somewhere far more menacing. Bang, bang, bang! Hashtag, oh my fucking God, number 2. The noise from the front door breaks her reverie and sends the cat scurrying beneath piles of balcony refuse. Perfect timing, thinks Penny, hoping she's not caught holding Fazoolie's bag. Cook County Sheriff's Office, shouts a gruff male voice, far from the sexy movie preview voice, over voice of her youth. Civil Process Division, Jonathan Fazoolie Jr., open up. Junior? Penny scribbles hashtag what the actual fuck number 2 on her notepad. She again hands it to Jonnie, this time in absentia, the con man having an uncanny ability to make crazy look easy, shaming the sane. Jonnie Fazoolie Jr., repeats the sheriff department, the sound of his name in juxtaposition with the gruff tone cracking her up. We have a writ of possession and are here to evict. She rolls her eyes, this absurd interview getting more and more wild. Did Jonnie know they were on their way? If he did, then why did he invite her over? If he didn't, his timing was amazing. With renewed admiration, she strolls with caution across the savant's combo trash heap, junkyard, playpen, and contemporary art exhibit to the front of his 10,000 square foot penthouse. Bang, bang, bang! An electric lock twirls as the walnut doors swing open, revealing 2 cops, one tall, the other short. The former smiles and unfurls an eviction notice as the latter points to it, gesturing, "Gotta go." "Have you seen Jonnie Jr.?" asks the short one. "No," says Penny. "Is there a bigger one?" "Ouch," smiles the tall one. "All yours," says Penny, sashaying out the open door and between them, sauntering down the ornate hallway. She feels them watching her. Yuck. But better than placing her under arrest. Bing! Going down. An elevator door opens. She enters and presses the lobby button. "Meow," says Johnny's cat, leaping inside before the doors slide closed. Penny winces, then lifts and cradles the purring feline. She still hates cats, doesn't have one, but has been drawn to this furry fellow. They make eye contact. Something about Fazoolie's fuzzball strikes her as eerie, foreboding, and transcendent. The express elevator's descent pops her ears and almost makes her barf. She's forced to hand it to this weirdo again, leaping off his balcony moments before the cops come to impound his place. With the U.S. government $35 trillion in debt, the market cap of top tech companies exceeding their EBITDA by 20 to 40 times, this freako isn't the only one living too large and on borrowed time. Fazoolie's fiscal recklessness pushed to the brink of criminality is another quirk that actually turns Penny on. Every brat needs an enabler to indulge their worst habits, poised to spoil them rotten. At least she hopes so, until the thought manifests as an actual possibility, even an infinitesimally unlikely one, and she frowns at herself in disbelief. She spins with attraction and repulsion. What have I done? What have I done? Arguably the logical culmination of her ambition, mischievousness, and boredom, this Tut project already seems out of control and has yet to even launch. What have I done? What have I done? Cat out of the bag, so to speak, and another in her arms. Penny realizes that this idea is hers, the first thing she's created and implemented on her own. Nobody, not even this fucking Fazoolie freak, is going to take it away from her. The launch is imminent. The Vegas award show is in the works, and her incel ops are set to pop their cherries. The sudden stop induces a head and body rush, whiplashing her body and mind. She imagines raucous sex with a charismatic lunatic on top of a mound of filthy debris, probing and panting. Bing! The elevator door opens, revealing, surprise, surprise, none other than Jonathan Fazoolie Jr. He stands facing her, his wingsuit flapping, motor mouth sucking his triple iced espresso. Hi! I hope you enjoyed the combo sections. I read two of them today. One snuck up on you just because the first one was rather short. More to come tomorrow. Let's find out what happens with Penny and Jonnie. I know you can't wait.